Welcome to Gut Tales with Emma Becker. I'm Emma, and today we're going to talk about anger. But seriously, whether you are newly diagnosed or you were diagnosed 30 years ago, anger is a real emotion that we feel. And many times it can be because we don't have control of our bowels, we don't have control of our life, we have no control that we were just diagnosed with this chronic illness. It's not anything that we did, but it can feel so overwhelming, and it can create feelings of rage and anger. And then if you top on steroids on top of that, then you may get really angry. I know I personally turned crazy when I was on steroids, and I would have serious mood swings, and many of it was anger related, which I never really felt anger like that my entire life until I was diagnosed with steroids. But staying on topic, so it is normal to feel angry and alone when you are diagnosed. It is also normal to feel angry and alone if you don't feel like anybody understands what you're going through. You feel like they're judging you. You feel like they think you're normal because from the outside you may appear normal, but what they don't know is you had like 8 to 12 bloody bowel movements today, things like that. And so I want to give you some tips on how to manage that anger and, which may create feelings of hopelessness. So, number one, first, accept that you were diagnosed with a chronic illness, and there is literally nothing you can do about that diagnosis. It is overwhelming, and yes, it may feel so frustrating. I get it. I've been there. But the sooner you accept your illness for what it is, the sooner you can put strategies in place, make a plan, and move on. Yes, will your life ever be the same? No, and that is okay, but it is important for you to accept that point. I fought my disease for years. I swore I was going to eradicate it from my body by any means necessary. What did any means necessary look like? Juice fasts, several fad diets, spending thousands of dollars in the wellness community, spending thousands of dollars on functional medicine doctors, naturopathic doctors, holistic health doctors. I even became holistic health coach certified through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition because I thought that all these places held the key for my health and wellness. And when none of them worked because my disease was moderate to severe, I thought something was wrong with me. And so what happened? I never blamed the holistic health system because they had all these magical stories. Everybody else was healing. Why couldn't I? But the truth was, nothing was wrong with me. Their systems, they're not evidence-based. They're not science-based. Sure, it may help for some people, but it is not a cure, and it is not going to eradicate Crohn's disease from my body or your body for that matter. Now, can lifestyle and dietary pattern help? It may, but sometimes you can do everything right. You can eat as clean as possible and still flare. Sometimes you can eat like complete shit and get McDonald's 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and not flare. Sometimes it is just the luck of the draw, right? And when I say luck of the draw, if you are like me and you draw the severe form where you are pooping like 10 to 20 bloody bowel movements, severe weight loss, you can't even function, you don't even want to go anywhere because you might have an accident, doesn't really feel lucky, but it is what it is, right? And so what I did was I finally realized I needed to accept the disease for what it was. I needed to peacefully coexist with the disease. It is going to be with me for the rest of my life, something I did not want to believe for the first several years after I was diagnosed. By the way, I was diagnosed in 2006. Okay, so I've had the disease for over 18 years at this point. And so it helped when I finally was like, okay, these holistic health remedies, they're the problem. I'm not the problem. I have followed all of these lifestyle hacks and recommendation to the T, and I'm still sick. Maybe I just need to realize that I'm going to have to live with Crohn's disease. When I realized that I needed to set aside my anger and just accept the disease for what it was, because there was literally nothing I could do to change my diagnosis or to change that I'm going to have Crohn's disease for the rest of my life, I was able to start moving forward. Does that mean that I have fabulous days all the time and I still don't get angry? No. Sometimes I do get frustrated. For instance, I am now a graduate student. I'm getting a master's degree in nutrition science and dietetics with the ultimate goal to be an IBD specific registered dietitian. Last year, I got really in the dumps when I realized, wow, If I was never sick, where would I be at this point? I would be very well established in my career at this point. I wouldn't be starting over. Why am I starting over? Oh my gosh, many of my younger years, I was just really sick and couldn't really work. Wow, this is really frustrating. Oh, what would my life look like if I was never diagnosed? And that kept playing over and over again. Where would I be if I wasn't diagnosed? What would my life look like if I wasn't diagnosed? And then finally I was like, stop! There is nothing I can do to change my circumstance. And it's because of those experiences that I had in my 20s, in my 30s, now my early 40s, that I realize all of those experiences, as shitty as they may be, they have made me who I am. I am now going to be, an IBD specific registered dietitian. I am passionate about it. I know what it feels like to be a sick patient. I know what it feels like to be taken advantage of by the holistic health community. I know what it feels like to be preyed upon. I know what it feels like to have hope when a functional medicine doctor says, oh yeah, I'll be able to get to the root cause of your disease. I know what that hope feels like. And I also know what it feels like when that hope is crushed. And so I realize that because of my experiences, I will better be able to help my fellow IBDers, right? And so I speak openly about my experiences because I don't want you to feel alone, okay? So I decided, why don't we start a Gut Tales movement, which I highly encourage you to join. Join the movement with me, where we empower each other and ourselves by talking openly about our disease. And if you aren't there yet, that is okay. I will talk for you. You can send my videos to your family, to your friends. You'll be like, you don't get what I'm going through. So listen to what she says. This is how I feel. But holding on to anger is not going to help you. It's not going to make your disease better. It's not going to help you move forward. And what's most important, especially when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, is that you don't lose hope and you keep moving forward. No matter how horrible your day was, you have to hold on to hope that tomorrow will be better, because it might be, and maybe tomorrow won't be better, but eventually things will get better. So please, please do not let anger take over your life where you feel so overwhelmed, because life is too short for that. And the truth is, even though you were diagnosed with IBD and it can seem so gloomy and so sad and angry and all of these emotions you may have never felt before at the same time, because honestly, I felt like I was hit with an emotion tornado when I was diagnosed with IBD. You're still alive. And that's important because you have your own story to tell. And you are no less of a person than you were before your diagnoses. You just have to figure out a different strategy and a different plan. And so I highly encourage you all that if you are angry, write it out on paper. I encourage journaling so much because oftentimes we hold so much within ourselves. And if we can just get it out on paper, you are getting it out of your body. You are getting that anger out. Go outside and scream if it's not going to freak your neighbor out. Scream into your pillow. Cry. Ugly cry. Hysterical cry. Whatever you need to do to get that anger out. I also am a proponent for seeing a mental health care professional if you feel like you need to. And sometimes you may not feel like you need to, but you do. For me personally, I missed the cue so many times. I look back all these years later, really it was when I was writing my book, Gut Tales, and I reflected back and I was like, wow, I was on the brink of ending my life. And I didn't realize, because of my IBD diagnosis and because of my IBD symptoms, but at the time I didn't realize I was depressed. It wasn't until I wrote my book years later that I realized, wow, I really should have seen a mental health care professional, and I didn't. So I encourage you, if you are feeling super angry and you've journaled and you've screamed and you've cried and you've done everything you could and you still have this anger and you just can't find a release, talk to a mental health care professional. They may be able to help. Find your tribe that will support you. It is important that you are with people who will build you up, not people that will criticize you. And it's okay to drop friends or family that don't understand your condition and make your life worse, and they create stress for you. You don't need people like that in your life, but you also don't need anger in your life because it's not going to help you move forward. And so if you have any questions, if you want to tell me your story, you can contact me. I do read most of my messages and I'm here for you. Let's start this gut tail movement. Let's do this. But please, please do what you need to release your anger because it's not serving you.